Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, formerly California, but no longer, to be exact, for reasons of security and therefore insecurity. Borrowing a line from my buddy John B. Wells, I intend to reach out to John and get him back on the program. If you've never heard my conversations with John, it's actually been a while. The show, the Agree to Disagree show, took a bit of a hiatus. Tried to enter the private workforce, and then I just saw too much going on in the world around me. I saw my country being stolen, hence the new intro that we have. Take a look at this one. I saw an America in decline. I saw an America under attack. I saw a globe that was being set on fire. And to be honest, I've been seeing this for a while now. The writing has been on the wall, and it's why I started the New American Media 14 years ago. And I got back involved. But that intro graphic there was showing a nation in distress. In the midst of a battle, the new flag was being raised upside down as a symbol of, think of Tom Hanks on the boat. Look at me, I'm your captain now. If you have Somali pirates steal a ship, or if you have Washington, D.C. governmental pirates steal your country, you fly the flag upside down to indicate to others, we've been invaded. We are in severe distress. Help. SOS. We're in distress, so we're sending out an SOS. That's what the New American Media is all about. I believe we're going to be doing a show with TV's Blake Wally at 3 p.m. Eastern today. We'll unpack our X feed for the New American Media. Make sure you're following us. We are at where are we at? At American_media_. That'll be at 3. I think at noon today, I'm going to be doing a special episode of Strictly Football with Mike Barra. It'll be episode 21, I think. We've done an episode once a week, all football season. We normally go on Thursday, but I did not want to wait until Thursday. Everybody's talking about the game. Everybody's talking about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs. It just seems like the NFL has it rigged so that Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes and their Pfizer poster boy, Travis Kelce, it's just so over the top being crammed down our throats. You see it. We all see it. And we're sick of it. It is so frustrating. But we're going to unpack that. I think, we're going to do that at noon today. That's the plan. I don't think we're going to have Vegas handicapper Jim Mitchell on today. But who knows? Maybe we'll do another special show talking about football. But today, I think we're mainly going to stick to the current events. If you have any comments, please leave them. However you're watching right now, hit like, hit subscribe, please, to the New American Media in all of the places, including Rumble, our Spotify podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. And let's get to the news today. If you're not following us on Instagram, we are the New American Media. And these are the stories that we have shared throughout the last 24 hours. So let's unpack them, starting with this one to tell you what's going on in the world. And this is Dr. Phil debunking lying legacy media regarding deportation. Whoop, where's the volume? There we go.
Straight up, are you going into schools and arresting children at schools?
No.
Is anything like that happening?
No, sir.
Are you going into businesses and sweeping through there and taking anybody with a tan and seeing where they're from?
We go into businesses for a criminal enforcement operation, but again, sweeps don't occur anywhere.
The sweeps are not occurring. You're just not going in like seining for fish.
Now, hold on. I've seen several videos where there are groups of people waving flags that are not American. You will not deport us, saying we are part of a group that is here illegally. You've seen this in various cities, intersections, protests. Why don't you block off the 4 streets and find out who's there? If you have non-Americans trying to transform American policy, violating American law in the process of identifying themselves, the Democrats are all about self-identification. And if you're saying you will not deport us, we won't? Okay. Block off this street, that street, that street, that street, close it down, and see who's there. Do a sweep of those people. You're getting into dangerous territory, stop and frisk. Yeah, but these are groups of people who are legitimately, specifically saying that they are in that group. And we're going to stop you. We're not going to let you. Oh, you're not. Okay. So that would be one of our agree to disagree questions of the day. Are you okay with sweeps? If they're in certain circumstances like that, where do you draw the line? The Democrats, the Obama doctrine allowed somewhere around 30 million. It's all just a guess. Who the hell knows? But don't you have a few houses in your community and you're like, what? Okay. Where does that cross the line? Once 30 million people have been dumped and scattered into so many areas, you know what it is? It's like sand. You go to the beach. Go to a beach. How long are you going to be finding sand in your ear? You know, you wake up in the morning, you're like this, you go, oh, geez, I got my eyes, Krusty was saying. You go like this and it pops out of your hoodie. You open up your wallet and sand falls out. Sand under your fingernails. You go, oh, man. How did I get sand in my mouth? There's like sand in between your toes and your shoes with your socks after you shot. You're like, where does all this sand come from? The Democrats threw sand everywhere into the United States. How do you locate the sand? You have to find it. So what are you okay with? What are you not okay with? That's an agree to disagree question. But I think when you're having an anti-immigration rally, I mean, isn't that the place you would sweep? Isn't that the place you would go, all right, I have reasonable suspicion to believe that this is full of criminal activity and criminal activists. But yeah, Dr. Phil is talking about fishing in a pond and just sweeping it all.
In a pond and just picking up, you're going targeted. If a criminal is working in a business and you have to pick them up there, you're going in for that target.
Absolutely.
And what's happening to me, it seems that these politicians are creating what they fear the most, and that is forcing ICE agents into the community where they pick up the target and wind up picking up collaterals that may be around them, as opposed to going to the jail where they just get the target and leave.
Birds of a feather flock together. And that's what I'm saying with these rallies, these anti-immigration rallies and stuff. It's like, you've kind of outed yourself. It sort of seems obvious what you're into. Sort of seems obvious. So that's the conversation that people are having right now. And I just wonder how many people care about it. The sand is everywhere. The people have been transported everywhere. So you have to look everywhere. For the record, let me just say, I'm well aware of the corruption in Mexico, which I hate. I love Spanish. I love the culture. I've been to Mexico multiple occasions. I've had a great time. I have been respectful. I sit and talk with the locals. I like the food. The culture's cool. There are neighbors. Just like I've been to Canada multiple times, had a great time, been respectful. You know, I like all of that. See, this immigration is not just about Mexico, though. It's not just about Canada. It's about everywhere USA and people being unvetted. Look at the Colombia case. People from everywhere with rap sheets miles long. And if you look up migrant crime and see just how many Americans have been abused because we let people in that should not have passed the basic background check. Do a basic background check on these people. If you've been a problem where you're from, we don't need you here. Go stay a problem somewhere else. We have enough problems to deal with here in the United States. And I think there is a reasonable way to bring people into this country, a reasonable way to scan, filter, process, and provide actual documents to the stuff that they were doing with that CBP1 app and the Obama doctrine, just flooding America with non-Americans, just like they've done to Europe to flood it with non-Europeans. It's obvious what their goal is, to change the culture, change the voting demographics forever. And at a time of the past 4 years where the Biden administration, in air quotes, was so concerned about COVID and kicking people out of the military, and you can't fly on a plane, and we got to close the schools, and we got to ban all of these treatments like monoclonal antibodies and no ivermectin and all of these people were let into this country without a basic health screening, let alone a criminal background screening. And my heart legitimately breaks for all the human suffering, the human smuggling, the slavery, the indentured servitude. You saw that story in Los Angeles with the help, Trafico, Policia. Like they're being trafficked here, help us. God only knows what deplorable conditions people are subjected to. And this is all because of the Obama doctrine. This is all because of Obama and his cronies, his globalist buddies who want to take America down a few pegs. We need to be scanning and filtering for our best and brightest. We want our country to be fantastic. Oh, well, who's going to do the low-skilled, low labor, the high labor? When I was in high school, there was no such thing as a job that was beneath doing. You did the work. You shoveled driveways. You worked in hot kitchens. You worked double shifts as a server or a bartender. You worked in landscaping. There's no job that an American can't do. Of course you can do it. But if for some reason some jobs are going unfilled, you thoroughly vet the people to make sure they're peaceful without a proclivity for criminality. And then if you give them proper documentation and you keep them on a list, it's like, hey, you can come here seasonally, if that's the case. And then you go back. And then if you want to be a citizen, you learn English. You learn our standards, traditions, our Bill of Rights. You agree that this is what you're going to stand for in this. Like, there's a process to becoming a citizen. You don't just let people come in and knock out an anchor baby. Oh, citizen. No. And I really think that birthright citizenship stuff is going to completely be clarified. Maybe this year. I would expect to jump through a few hoops if I became a citizen of another place. And if I came through the front door, that's the key. Are you walking through the front door? The other thing I'd like to prove is that Joe Biden was illegitimately serving as a president for 4 years. He was wearing the costume of a president, and all the stuff he did is illegal, null and void. I still have hope that we're going to be able to get to the bottom of 2020. I don't think what we saw was legitimate for a multitude of reasons that I'm not going to get into here. Although CISA.gov/rumor control will tell you, for countervailing view purposes, 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of elections. Let it be known. All right, let's get back to Dr. Phil and Tom Homan. Real quick, though, Jack Posobiec put something out on his Telegram feed today, and he said, have you prayed for Tom Homan today? Dear Lord, protect Tom Homan and his team. Help them remove every monster who slipped into our country under cover of darkness and remove them so that Americans can stay safe. Amen. There, I just did. Did you?
That's the game they want to play, and so, game on. We're going to do it. I mean, it's all about public safety. We're going to take that public safety threat off the street by any means necessary. If we can't get in the jail, then we'll go in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well,
there you go. If you can't get him in the jail, you're going to go in the neighborhood. Here's a story that I just it slipped my radar. I'm not even. Yeah, I didn't even see this. There's a Nashville high school last week where a teen gunman killed a fellow student last week, and there were no metal detectors. Apparently, the administrators at that school think that metal detectors would be racist. Who is still using that term racist in 2025? Get over it. There's common sense and there's stupidity. Do you want metal detectors to keep your school safe, or do you want stupidity? Don't give me the R word. Call that R word the hard R word. It's just as offensive, maybe more so. Because that word being thrown around all the time, sprinkle some on here, sprinkle some on there. Number one, it makes the word completely meaningless. But number two, it creates the conditions for stupidity. It creates the conditions where people lose common sense. So dig into that story if you want. I until I shared it yesterday, it wasn't even on my radar. So take a look at it. All right, here's Ben Berkwam in, where's he at today? Chicago. Let's take a listen to what's going on. Apparently, 300 illegal alien criminals are being withheld from Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Get them out. Do you hear my cat? He has a little toy, and he goes and gets the toy, and then he walks with the toy. He delivers the toy. He does this meow thing several times a day. And then I pick it up and I move it back to the location, and he brings it back again. I don't know what's going on. I love him. But good grief, All right. Let's hear about the Chicago story.
Brennan reminds me, having gone to Catholic school, of those, the goody two-shoes that sat down in the first rows, and you could not, she was obnoxious at 7 years old in kindergarten, right? Just as obnoxious today.
Hasn't changed.
So, Ben, this is what I understand. The mayor is essentially right now, and I realize Homan's out there, kind of calling our bluff because not letting them go into city jails and get the holds. And
this is going to be very interesting. Look, do you want a single person being fed, housed, babysat in an American jail that doesn't need to be here? I mean, it could be said that if they committed criminal acts, they need to pay for it. But why aren't they in the jail of the country that they're from? What are the arrangements that we have with all these other countries? Can we trust that if we deport these people, they're going to go back to jail? Or are they going to re-release them and they're going to sneak their way back in? I'm just sick of this shit. I am sick of it. You have no right to go into our communities and terrorize our people. And if you're not defending that, I don't know what the hell your moral compass is. I just don't get it.
They're releasing them into the streets. You should be able to go to city jail and do them by a grunt. Let's get a grunch of them. And the state prisons. And Pritzker's...
Wait, a grunch of them? Is that a word?
He's walking around preening. That's a big victory. He's standing down Homan and Trump. What's your forecast? Since you're riding shotgun out there, what's your forecast on this?
Well, yesterday was the kickoff of this, and I had the opportunity.
By the way, a grunch is onomatopoeic because being grunched includes an unpleasant physical sensation like that of crashing into your own body. Grunch and the verb grunched appear to have been coined by Dorothea Salo in 2002, who also used grunchy as an adjective for discussions about sexism. Okay, I don't know. Maybe he meant a bunch. I was trying to learn there. I thought maybe grunch was a word. I don't know.
To ride with the acting deputy attorney Emil Bovee, and he was there with me. I was actually in the car, had a long opportunity to talk with him, and he was there to see just how bad it was, and he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked. So you're going to see the federal government come after these cities and states in a way we've never seen before. I think we're going to see defunding of sanctuary communities that don't allow these ICE officers into their jails. Just to give you an idea, the ICE agent that I was with yesterday said there's 300 being held with detainers right now that they will not let have. ICE they will not give to ICE. So they should be picking these guys up by the hundreds. And we spent millions of dollars yesterday to get a few of these guys off the street.
Repeat that. Okay, repeat that to the audience. How many?
300 as of yesterday, just in Chicago, is what the ICE agent I was riding with told me.
Folks, you got to understand, I think Danbury's got 10% foreign national. These are bad hombres. They scare the...
Yeah. Monsters exist. Evil exists. And if you're not willing to go, the only thing it takes for evil to succeed in this world is for good men to stand by and do nothing. Why are we allowing this stuff into our country? This is any drinking water facility first filters out the big particles, the dead fish, the tampons, and like all of the biomedical waste, all the syringes, like anything you could imagine that's filtering, running through a water supply. And then there's a filtration system and it catches the big stuff first. Then once the water is filtered of the large particulate, you go after the smaller stuff, which is the stuff that will absolutely destroy you. If you've ever done a home filtration system, maybe out in the wild or camping, they'll have rocks on top and then sand underneath that, and then maybe coal, crushed up charcoal. So it's like first there's a big filtration, then a smaller filtration, and then it's through or something like that. Our country needs to filter every person coming in. We have the ability to. It's one of the only good things about the surveillance state. I don't like the surveillance state. But I do think when you enter other countries, you should be like, no, man, I'm good. I'm here for good reasons. Here's my name. Here's who I am. I'm going to be at this place for a while. Okay, cool. Now, look, I did meet people in my life that have overstayed visas. I don't know where they are to this day. I don't know if they decided to stay, but there needs to be a process. You can't just sneak through the back door and expect us to allow you to stay here. If you're sneaking, you got to have a little bit of a suspicion that you might be up to something. Maybe you're not. But then you need to get on that list of people going, look, I came here. I thought someone told me I was able to. I did the thing. Can I get on the list and just tell you who I am? I'd like to stay if I can. Here I am. Maybe I can't be a citizen, but maybe I could stay and work. And maybe my child is not going to be a citizen, but maybe they could stay and work. I don't know. But the way we've been doing it ain't it.
The convicts, they got to go. They got to go back. They got to go back to their point of, their point of origin. Got to go. Bovee, folks should know, don't bury the lead. Bovee's the number 3 guy in the Justice Department. He's one of President Trump's lawyers. This guy's a heavy hitter. Okay. You're telling me he was shocked? Right. It's tough to shock him. You're telling me he's shocked?
He was shocked. He was, I would even say, outraged. He could not believe what these guys. Look, Steve. These guys are ICE agents. They're not able to bust down doors and get most of these guys. They're getting administrative warrants to go. They have to knock on the door and wait for the people to walk out of the door. We had one guy looking out the window, refusing to come to the door, and we had to leave. I mean, that's how insane this is. So they wanted to test the waters and see how bad it was. And Bovee and Holman, these guys got to see it is catastrophic. And what we have to have, you have to defund these guys. You have to go directly after Johnson. You have to go directly after Pritzker. And then, again, dragnet and start rounding them up. Because you're right. No, it's a drop in the bucket of what we have to do to secure this country.
But go back to what Holman said originally, and I agree with this 100%. If you're a government official or a city official or state official, and you're getting in the way of the ICE agents and the federal government to get these...
I am so looking forward to... Number one, let's investigate Ilhan Omar and her brother. I think the story is pretty obvious that she's here illegally. She pretended to be something she wasn't. She pretended her brother was her husband. Look into the story. Go after people like Ilhan Omar. Go after the mayors who are encouraging this lawlessness. They thought they were invincible. They thought they were, they would be able to get away with anything they wanted. The elected representatives that are committing, this is treason. To subvert your own country, to bring non-Americans in, to change your demographics and change what this country is, that's treasonous activity. You add hundreds of thousands or millions of people to your voting rolls, then you get extra congressional representation, which is treason. You're defrauding the federal government. You're trying to say, oh yeah, we have all these people. No, no, no. You don't have, the citizens need to count. It shouldn't be illegal aliens that you snuck through the back door so that you could try to get some more power and control while all this migrant crime is harming Americans, driving the cost of everything through the roof. It's not our job to take care of everybody. It's our job to take care of Americans. It's time to go after the people that have all their priorities backward. I am so here for it because this is so backward.
To get these criminals, a national security risk, out of our country, that's a crime. Lock Pritzker up. Lock the mayor up.
Yes.
You got to throw down now. This is, folks, you understand, Bovee and Homan are as tough as boot leather. I told you Chicago was going to be the place you're going to go, and Chicago is emblematic of what's going to happen otherwise. But we picked a fight. And Ben, to know they got to get an administrative warrant, we mean you got to tap on, can you please come out? The guy says, no, I don't feel like it. I don't think I'm going to do that. If I walk outside, I'm going to end up in Ecuador, so I'll just stay right here. Thank you very much, and watch the football game. I want to catch I want to catch Chiefs Bills. That's what they're doing. They're laughing at you, and this is the job. This is what President Trump is confronting in every part of the government. That's why he let go.
Chiefs Bills. Man, I wish the Bills had won that.
17 inspector generals blown out on Friday. Goodbye. Yeah. The one I thought he'd take, Horowitz at Justice, he kept because he liked the Comey report. The Comey report was okay. I would have gotten rid of Horowitz anyway. I think he's terrible. But President Trump got rid of 17 others. Margaret Brennan reminds me, having gone to Catholic school, of those, the goody two.
Oh, Margaret Brennan. That was terrible.
Two shoes that sat down in the first rows, and you could not, she was obnoxious at 7 years old in kindergarten, right? Just as obnoxious today.
Hasn't changed.
So, Ben, this one I understand. The mayor is essentially right now, and I realize Homan's out there, kind of calling our bluff because not letting them go into city jails and get the holds, and they're releasing them into the streets. He should be able to go to city jail and do them by a grunt. Let's get a grunt.
All right, there we go. So this is my only problem with Instagram. It repeats the phrase. It repeats the video segment, and then you got to kind of hit reset and remember what they started talking about. Anyway, got problems in Chicago. I was in Chicago. There are people there that are very unhappy with non-Americans being prioritized. Same story in the Bronx. They're very unhappy that non-Americans are being prioritized in this process. All right, let's go to, Rush Limbaugh. Remember him? Not having his voice has been, there's been a bit of a void. But look, back in 1993, he was calling it. I was calling it in the 90s too. I was living through all this stuff. A lot of us were, but we kind of laughed at it because it wasn't really going anywhere. And then somewhere around the 2000s, maybe Obama, it really was sort of Obama that pushed through and made it acceptable or normal for the backward ideas, the weird kids, the dumb phrasing. And man, I didn't vote for Barack Obama, but I was hopeful that maybe there could be some sort of unifying opportunity there. He was the exact opposite. He was the divider in chief. But look, back in 1993, Rush was saying it. And I'm like, yeah, I was saying this stuff in 93 too. A lot of us were. But here it is, a flashback. Rush Limbaugh predicting woke virtue signaling and supporting the current thing in 1993. Yeah, it reminds me of the Seinfeld episode with Kramer in the AIDS ribbon. Actually, let me see when that was. Kramer AIDS ribbon episode date. 95. All right. And that was the Sponge-worthy episode too, 1995, December 7th, so almost 96. So 3 years before Seinfeld did it. Here was Rush talking about it.
Because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than any of you about anything. And these ribbons say so. I want you people sitting at home and you people in the audience, look down at your lapel right now. I want you to do this. Put the camera back on me. Do this. When you look down, what do you see? You don't see anything because you're not wearing any ribbons. It means you're a bigot. It means you're a racist. It means you're a sexist. It means you're a homophobe.
This is like, you better black out your Instagram feed. You better do this thing. You better put the banner around your frame. If you don't do this, then we're going to assume you're that. It is such crap. Always has been.
It probably means you're a white guy. It probably means you're a European, and you alone are responsible for all the ills of America. But I'm not, because I'm wearing these ribbons.
It's like a magical force field. I remember when Democrats would parade Gold Star parents up to say some ridiculous stuff. You know, and number one, respect to Gold Star parents. But number two, that doesn't mean I respect the things that come out of your mouth. That's that's the most ridiculous thing. It's like, Joe Biden saying, well, I'm going to pick a vice president. It'll be a woman of color. Huh? What? No. You pick someone that's awesome at the job. Someone you think would be qualified. You don't base it off of non-controllable criteria, like who you sleep with or what your skin looks like. Who cares? But yeah, like even right there, he was calling out that it was demonizing a particular demographic of people. And it's just interesting to look back all these years later, and I mean, was he spot on or was he spot on? The Kramer episode of the AIDS ribbon. But I don't want to wear the ribbon. You must wear the ribbon.
I care more than you.
And that's what it is. I care more than you. If I acquiesce, if I regurgitate this stuff, if I put a flag in my front yard, in this home, science means I believe what Fauci tells me. In this home, love equals all sorts of things that could be criminal, including with children who can't consent. In this home, we can mutilate children under the guise of caring. In this home, you know, if you put a sign in your yard, if you wear the lapel pin, if you black out your screen on Instagram, I care more than you. Ugh. It should make you gross if you've fallen into this, but just you can snap out of it. Anyway, that was just a blast from the past clip that seemed pretty interesting, so I wanted to share that. All right, over here to Bobby Kennedy Jr. He's fighting to be confirmed this week. I think it's this week. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking a lot about Robert Kennedy Jr. and fixing the food supply. I kind of like what he has to say. He's talking with Sean Ryan on this episode.
FDA gets 50% of its budget from pharmaceutical companies.
I've read that 30 countries have now banned our food.
Our food?
Yeah. 30 countries.
You know, I don't know about our food. I'm sure there's some
products
kinds of food, like GMO plants are banned in many countries, and we are almost exclusively now GMO products. But there's 1,000 ingredients that are in processed foods in this country that are banned in other countries. So, you know, we have the worst food. You know, I would guess the worst food of any country in the world, and we have the worst health. We have the highest chronic disease burden in the world.
I mean, how do you fix this? I mean,
You can fix it.
50% of the income.
Well, how do you fix it? You stop it. We're not making this stuff anymore. You can't sell it. The hell are you doing? No, you can't make this that's going to rock us and ruin us. Nope. But hey, then it gets into that issue of like, well, does that mean we stop cigarettes? We stop alcohol? Don't people have a right? Well, I don't think most people understand just how dangerous it is to eat this shit. I've eaten a lot of this shit in my lifetime. And if it's super extra expensive to get actual food, maybe there's something we can do to help alleviate that. But yeah, I interviewed J6 prisoner Jeremy Brown's girlfriend yesterday. I'm sorry. I uploaded the video yesterday from outside of the jail. And one of the first things, about the jail system that they've learned and what they'd like to see change is she's like, fix the food. This place, they have brown water. They don't give you beds. There's no heating. I mean, it's cruel and unusual punishment. It's something you're not supposed to be doing in America. But yeah, the food. And there have been studies done on prisoners and school children. If you give them the crap processed food, they're going to fight. They're going to be agitated. They're going to be bouncing off the walls. But if you give them real food, they'll sit down. They'll be cool. They won't be fighting. Prisoners too. They'll participate in the work release programs to be helpful around the place and do jobs or community service. They want out and like everything. But if you give them crap food, they turn into crap people. So I'm very happy for Bobby Kennedy to get involved here. I just want to go. We had 1 full week. I want Bobby in now. I want it going. Let's start fixing this stuff immediately.
For to the FDAs from pharmaceutical companies, pharmaceutical lobbying organization, from what I understand, is the biggest lobbying organization in the entire world.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you combat that?
Well, you can. It's hard to combat regulatorily. Let's say we found proof that high fructose corn syrup,
Yeah, as if we need more proof, but yeah,
was causing the obesity epidemic. The obesity epidemic is now, when my uncle was president, I think 13%.
When my uncle was president, when they killed him and his dad,
of kids were obese, and today it's almost 50%. And this is a threat to our military readiness. It's a threat to public health. It's destroying our economy because so much money is now going to chronic disease, and it's making us. We're the sickest people in the world. During COVID, we had the highest body count of any country in the world. We had 16% of the COVID deaths. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. So whatever
America only has 4.2% of the world's population. Whoa.
we were doing was totally wrong. It was the worst protocols of any country in the world because we killed the most people. Other countries, had a tiny fraction. Haiti, which had a 1% vaccination rate, had 1/200th of our death rate from COVID. Wow. And Nigeria, which had 1.3% vaccination rate, had 1/200th of our rate. They had 14 deaths per million population. We had 3,000.
How much were those countries banning monoclonal antibodies and ivermectin also? That's what happened to somebody I deeply care about.
I mean, FDA gets 50% of its budget from pharmaceutical companies.
I read that.
All right, so I think that clip replayed there. So I'm super excited for Bobby Kennedy to get involved. Okay, John Kennedy here. All these Kennedys. Kennedy. By the way, do you get the feeling that there might be another Trump president? Not another Trump presidency, although it has. There are rumblings to try to get that changed so that Trump can serve a third term. Would you agree? Another question of the day, would you agree or disagree with a third President Trump term if they're able to change the law? Yeah, all these Kennedys, but I'm just wondering, do you get the feeling the Baron Trump is going to be a president in the United States? I mean, 18, so he's 1/2 of the way to 36. So in another 18 years, 4 years a term. So in another 4 presidents or so, and we'll get another Trump presidency. Yeah, these dynasties, these legacies. I don't care. I don't care who's president. If they have good ideas, if they have strength, if they have a team, if they have resources to fight off all the monsters who try and come after them, because that is what you need. You need a nest egg, because most people collapse. Most people buckle under the weight of the pressure and the threats and the attacks. It does take a unique human being to survive all that. And we do have that in President Trump. Anyway, back to Senator John Kennedy. Making a point here, when George Soros wanted to become the largest shareholder of WWL Radio and 219 other stations, the Biden FCC took the Soros shortcut. Democrats rammed that deal through. As a result, those stations are backed by foreign money now. The FCC should take a look at the national security implications of this partisan deal as soon as possible. Agreed. Anything Soros touches, you should have an instant, the hair should stand up on your neck and go, oh no. So here you go. Here's what people are talking about. I think this is bad acting. Somebody gave her a script to read. And look, if I was on a game show, and I have been, by the way, I wish I could be on a couple game shows a year. I love it. I love game shows. I have a bit of a wealth of encyclopedic knowledge, skill, reflexes, strategy. It's fun. If I were on a game show and for $100 it'd say, name me a song Selena Gomez has sang, I would say, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. Did she play that person in a role? I don't know. I have no idea what she's saying. I don't know where she came from. I would guess, did she come from Disney? I don't know. For $200, what movie has she been in? I don't know. I don't know. I would fail in this pop culture avenue. When I was on the game show Catch 21, they asked me a question about when this character Liz Lemon, and someone rang in and got it. I'm like, I don't know what Liz Lemon is, because I hadn't watched 30 Rock yet. It's a funny show, very funny show. I like it a lot, actually, despite NBC, despite Alec Baldwin. It was funny. It was well done. But I had no wealth of knowledge on that topic. So anyway, I don't know who she is and where she came from, but I just wonder who put her up to this. Did someone give her a script to read? And this is an acting scene. It's bad acting. So I'm wondering, is she a bad actress? Here's the piece here.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked.
All my people. My people? Let my people go. All my people? Have I ever spoken about my people? I mean, I do say, like Rush Limbaugh did in that 1993 clip, that a lot of this division is created to go after people that are me, little carbon copies of me. For some reason, who I am, the boxes I check off on the demographic, a guy, a straight, a white, bad. Why? It's the Obama doctrine, Marxism. You have to divide, you have to distract, you have to demonize. And it's like, oh, that's convenient. These are the people in power. I'm like, I'm just a guy. I don't know. I'm curious who her people are. Her people? Is she a criminal? Is she abusing kids? Is that what she mean by people? What do you mean her? Why would you claim criminals as your people? There are so many people that need to be filtered out of this country. Those shouldn't be your people. If you're a good person, those aren't your people.
The children.
The children, like Lake and Riley. The children like Lake and Riley that you're not doing this video about. Killed by a migrant that shouldn't have been here. An illegal alien invader. Charlie Kirk saying Rachel Nungary. Rachel Morin. Of course, Lake and Riley is the one that you've heard about too much. I mean, anytime you have to hear about an American being killed by a non-American, it's too much. In our country, nonetheless. Where are your crying videos for them? And by the way, you want to talk about kids? Yeah, those were kids. A lot of kids have been harmed by illegal alien invaders that should have never been here. Also, how about all of the kids that went missing, the hundreds of thousands that Joe Biden under the Obama doctrine flooded into the country. What are they doing now? What kind of indentured servitude are they in? What type of deplorable living conditions are they in? What type of, and I don't want to go down the list, but you know what kids can be forced into? Kind of anything, because they don't have a voice. Why aren't you crying for those kids? The ones trafficked by drug mules, cartels. Are they being forced to appear in movies and films in the most vile and disgusting things you could ever imagine? Why aren't you crying for those kids?
I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do.
This continues the trend of, why do you film yourself crying? What type of performance art is this?
Try everything, I promise.
Huh? She's not a good actress.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry.
Not a good actress. Yeah, so there we posted, cry for the victims of migrant crime, would you? Here's Tom Homan talking about how it was a great day, and it was. And it's just beginning.
Great day. This is all government approach. Like, I've been doing this 3.5 decades, and what President Trump has put together is amazing here in Chicago. And it's
Tell you what, President Trump and his team have got a plan, and they are working harder than I've ever seen a president work.
The first operation of this size and complexity. We had all a government approach. We had U.S. Marshals, DEA, FBI, ATF, ICE, ERO, NHSI.
By the way, this is coming from Real America's Voice, Ben Berkham and Tom Homan. Check out the work they're doing.
I mean, it's all a government approach, so we had a lot of resources come to look for public safety threats. As President Trump committed to, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats, and that's what we did today. We arrested a lot of bad guys. I mean, last time I was down there, I think we got at least 7 sex offenders.
7 demons. Evil is real, people. No, I didn't say evil is real. I did say evil is real. Those words kind of combine tight there. Demons off the streets. You harm a kid, straight to hell. That should be ride the electric chair. Some people are against capital punishment. I'm not. The recidivism rate, I have a psychology degree. I've studied all this stuff. I've studied sexual deviancy, this criminality. The recidivism rate for pedos is just disgustingly high. Erase them. Send them straight to the electric chair. Those aren't humans. Those are demons. You can make an there was a passionate argument and this thing escalated and something happened. Okay, I can understand. Or, oh, I made a bad decision. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Or you can understand, like, oh, geez, in the moment I did this thing, I thought it would be fine, but like it turned out that I was distracted. And you can understand a multitude of criminal behavior, and you could hear somebody with remorse and say, oh, that is doggone it. I know if you had a chance to do that over again, you wouldn't do that. Knowing what you know now, you would do anything else. You would take the Uber. You wouldn't swing at that person who fell down and their head cracked the pavement and then they died of a cranial hemorrhage. It's like you just wanted to get someone out of your way, or you were angry and you swung, and then it's like, oh, okay. You don't accidentally abuse kids. You're a demon if you abuse kids. You don't need to be taught that that's wrong. That's inherently wrong. It's morally wrong. It doesn't need to just be biblically wrong. If you're messing with kids, straight to hell. Do not collect $200. You found 7 demons. Bravo, Tom Homan. Look at these eyes. These are the eyes of somebody who's tired, of somebody who's seen a lot of bad shit. I want him on that wall, and I need him on that wall. Thank you. Pray for Tom Homan.
Serious sex offenders, child sex offenders.
Yeah.
We got 2 murderers, illegal aliens who are convicted of murder. We got
2 illegal aliens convicted of murder. Are you crying for that, Selena Gomez?
Numerous Trendawa gang members. We got It's an aggravated assault, suspects, big convictions. So we took a lot of bad guys off the street today with the help of all these other agencies. And what's great about these agencies is not only the force multiplier, but if we find dope, DA can take that case and prosecute it. We find guns, especially with TDA, ATF can take that case and prosecute it. So it's just not about wrestling criminal entities for them. We're going to gather some prosecutions out of this. Matter of fact,
they're going to gather prosecutions out of this. This is our country. You have to defend it. You have to defend what matters.
In fact, we got 2 criminal warrants getting ready to be executed now. There are going to be prosecutions. So look, this great operation, it was well targeted. And one thing we showed today, I think, to the American people, we recorded a lot of it. It's not neighborhood sweeps looking for people different than us. It isn't racial profiling like you read on the left media. This is a well-planned operation. I walked through the command center. I saw the targeting system. I saw how they spent hundreds of hours working these targets up, making sure they have a criminal history and immigration history, and we're likely to find them. A lot of work went into this, and they did a great job. We took a lot of public safety threats off the street here in Chicago. This city's a lot safer today because of what ICE and the other agencies did here today. Look,
I love our great American cities, and I hate what they've descended into. Here's a post outside of the DC jail. Go to our YouTube and Rumble page. We spoke with Ashley Babbitt's mother last week during the inauguration week. We spoke with Jeremy Brown's girlfriend. We were doing an interview when Jeremy Brown called his girlfriend, who was waiting for him with clothing because he said, "I'm coming out." And he said he was detained and taken back into his cell because now they're not going to let him out. They said there's been a mistake. He's from Florida, and their story is that feds came by and tried to get him to turn informant. He recorded it and posted it and outed them and said, "I'm not doing that." So then they raided his home. He was there on January 6th, working security, was not accused of doing anything violent. He was just there, didn't go in the Capitol building, as if that's a huge issue, walking around and doing no harm. Give me a break. Then you walk him out or you get a misdemeanor. But they raided his home, and they said they found Department of Defense documents and grenades and sawed-off shotguns or something like that. And so now the criminal justice system is saying that he's not eligible for the parole from Trump, from the pardon from Trump, rather, because there's other investigations going on. But their story is that the feds set him up. He wouldn't turn on him, so they planted evidence to ruin his life. That's another piece of footage that I got out at the DC jail, the DC facility, the DC gulag, they call it. And I will be editing more videos and posting more of those videos soon to come. But here's another video from outside the DC jail.
That are still in there, they haven't been convicted yet. So DC jail is where they're held. So once they are sentenced, they're shipped off into the federal prison system. But until they are sentenced, they're kept here. So the 2 that were released yesterday had been convicted, but not sentenced. But you see, technically a pardon is supposed to only apply to somebody who's already been convicted.
So once again, if a pardon applying to people who have only been convicted, there are still people being held because they haven't been convicted, but there are still people being held who haven't had a trial in 3-4 years. You have the right to a fair and speedy trial, and that's been deprived. So on civil rights violations alone, you get these people out. You got to get to the bottom of what's been happening here. It's really bad what's happened with the weaponization, all in an attempt to take out President Trump. Pelosi and DC Mayor Bowser turned down 15,000 National Guard that Trump asked for and said, "Hey, look, this event's going to be there. We want to keep everything safe and secure." They said, "Nope." Ray Epps was over there, all of his cronies pulling the barricades aside, storming the Capitol while President Trump was talking. President Trump never said, "Let's go in there and throw these bums out. Let's string them up." He never said any of that stuff. He said, "We're going to go over there. We're going to make our voices heard peacefully and patriotically." Magnetically locked gates were opened. People walked through and took self-guided tours, and they were made to be the biggest terrorists since Osama bin Laden. It's simply not the case. It was all done to make Trump look bad and to try to keep Trump from ever getting back into office, and it all backfired. But this guy brings up a point about if you haven't been convicted, how can you be pardoned? Well, I think that opens up a lot of opportunity then to go after the J6 committee, to go after Fauci. There is so much criminality that's destroyed our planet over the past several years, several decades for that matter. I'd love to see it prosecuted fairly, not for retribution, for justice. But there's people here who have not had their day in court, people still not being released who should have been released. It's a damn shame.
So, if you're not if you haven't been convicted, you can't be pardoned. Is how it's always worked in America. So these guys, since they haven't been to trial and been convicted yet, they're just saying they're just going to hold them because they're not convicts, so the pardon doesn't apply to them. So
anyway, this video was from 122 in the day after the pardons. That was the day after pardons. As of 127, they're saying most have been released. Yeah. And this Joe Likes America, he's putting this footage out there because, you know, look, when you're out filming this stuff, you're out in the freezing cold all day. You're there for 12 hours, for 10 hours. I was there. Your hands are frozen. You can't feel your feet. You're trying to talk to people. You're trying to gather up as much as you can. And then in the subsequent days, then the information comes out. Not everything it can be instantaneous. So, you know, check out this guy and his footage because these stories, they're out there. Speaking of stories that are out there, Larry Johnson has been out there in a very interesting way, but he has something to say about some of these people that may have been compromised into the deep state. You know, Diddy and Epstein, of course, being Mossad, CIA, honeypot endeavors to get people trapped so that they will do their bidding for life. Larry Johnson had some interesting stuff to say to Jason Whitlock about Jay-Z and Beyonce.
When Jay was going after B,
because remember, Jay-Z, Beyonce, like the whole, Kamala Harris brought out Beyonce trying to get people to vote for for Kamala Harris for 4 more years of the destruction we've seen. All of these people in media, entertainment, and sports, they're all wrapped up. And you have to know who these people are and what their motivations are and what makes them tick. Well, this is a story here.
B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado.
He's saying when I think I talked a little bit over that, clipped it off. Jay-Z, when he was going after Beyonce, she was a very young woman.
And I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there. Actress Jamie King was there. Jay was there. B was there. And he rented this house. And we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house. And we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there. And I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework. But she brought her mother with her. So it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music. We started drinking. And then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking loud music and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from.
And that's similar to what stories about Diddy have said. At a certain hour, all these little kids come on. You're like, what the hell is this? It's their plan.
And then I happen to...
How long has this been the plan to corrupt and bribe and blackmail people? Forever, probably.
Sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now.
Oh, I guess, yeah, this is in light of Jay-Z being accused of raping a 13-year-old girl, by the way.
So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, you know, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves. But the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already alarming to me. So when I hear something like this happens, I can't really discount it and say, oh, he could never do this, because I'm hearing stories. I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and I've been in situations where something don't sound or look right, and it's usually involving children. When Jay was...
Some of the comments on here on the side are saying, oh, the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. Huh? LOL, bro, trying to save face. LOL, sure, he left early. No, I don't know. I don't know. He's coming out now and telling the story. Do you believe him or disbelieve him? That's, you know, a question for you. But I think we do need a national apology project. I think people involved in heinous stuff should be able to come out, tell their story, and expose what happened in order to stop it from happening again. I don't know. Larry Johnson has been on some real shit for a while now. But it's an interesting story. Back to the deportations. Marmot here, at Marmot Respecter, saying the wildest part about the deportations is apparently we just had lists with names and addresses of violent criminals. We just had them. Like, oh yeah, Pedro, the rapist. He's in the apartments down on South Main. Loves to rape. Good tenant, though. Does that make sense to you? Does it? Yeah, what is this from Atlanta, Georgia? Multiple children found in the back of a moving truck? Thanks to UK Online.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I want to see this. I got to see this. I'm so happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I'm so happy.
So I guess this guy called it in. It looked like people were in the back of this moving truck, and I guess he called it in, and they did stop him.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you.
Watch that. What is that? Sound of Silence. What's that movie? I'm sorry. Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom. Oh, by the way, that was on a mission to rescue children from sex traffickers in Colombia. Colombia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a hero, man. I was not stopping until I knew that these people was going to get these people at the back of this motherfucking truck. This is a real live trafficking situation. These are somebody's kids. I'm proud of myself. I did a good deed for the day. I kept driving and I kept driving and I kept driving and I kept driving. I was not going to stop, man. I was not going to stop. I could not stop.
Yeah, so like a mattress, and it looked like people right there. I don't know. If you see something, say something like that. All right. Next story. Next target acquired. Here you go. The president of Honduras is now threatening President Trump.
Pueblo hondureño, quiero manifestar
Has she learned
que
nothing
esperamos
from
que la
Colombia?
nueva administración norteamericana del
Honduran
presidente electo democráticamente, Donald Trump, sea abierta al diálogo, constructivo y amistoso. Que no tome represalias innecesarias contra nuestros migrantes frente a una actitud hostil de expulsión masiva de nuestros hermanos. Tendríamos que considerar un cambio en nuestras políticas de cooperación con Estados Unidos, especialmente en el campo militar, en el que sin pagar un centavo por décadas mantienen bases militares en nuestro territorio, que en este caso perderían toda la razón de existir en el pueblo hondureño. Quiero manifestar que esperamos que la nueva administración norteamericana del presidente electo democráticamente, Donald Trump.
Okay. So she's threatening President Trump to get the military bases out of Honduras. Oh, your migrant brothers and sisters. If there's such a benefit to society, why wouldn't you be thrilled to have them back? They're all nurses and doctors and teachers. Pristine members of your society. You're not dumping your criminals and your mental facilities into the United States now, are you? Yeah, cat turd right here saying, waiting for the Selena Gomez crying video about the 350,000 missing children under the Biden regime. Savannah Hernandez, I think I saw her again in DC. She's everywhere. Selena Gomez is she's a billionaire? Hold on. Selena Gomez, a billionaire. Holy shit. What? Okay, so she gets $6 million a season of something she was nominated for an Emmy and Golden Globe on Only Murders in the Building. Don't know what that is. A majority of her wealth comes from her cosmetics line, Rare Beauty, that she launched in 2019 and reportedly owns 81.4% of the company. Her music catalog contributes. I don't know what she's ever sang. Real estate portfolio, investments, a stake in Wondermind, a mental health program she co-founded with somebody. Very grateful. A billionaire, 32-year-old billionaire. Okay, so she was with Timberlake. Yep. Super not familiar with her. Super don't care. Anyway, Selena Gomez is a billionaire who is surrounded by security, has zero idea of how dangerous the country has become due to illegal immigration. Doesn't care enough about American women or children to know that they've been getting raped and murdered at the hands of her people, and is now crying from the comfort of her mansion about how we're all horrible people because we're wanting a safer country. Disgusting behavior. Agreed. Alex Bruskowitz saying, am I alone in thinking that individuals who film themselves crying for Instagram or TikTok are either A, faking it, or B, seriously mentally unstable? And we said, if we had to place a bet, she's faking. Someone gave her a script to perform, which leads me to wonder, what kind of dirt might they have on Selena Gomez? Why would you do something so cringe like this? Why? Jack Poso saying, missed her video about Lake and Riley. DC Jano, are the crying PSYOP videos working on you, Anon? Nope, not at all. Nope, not at all. Oh, here's a gem of a human here. This Florida Democratic Party official arrested on child porn charges. Question, why does it seem to almost always happen to Democrats and not MAGA? Why? And please, if you want to bring up E. Jean Carroll and Trump, I can give you a laundry list. In another episode, we'll pull up the facts and the stat sheets about what the judge did to guarantee that Trump would be found guilty there, removing his ability for cross-examination, removing his right to an accurate, a fair defense trial. By the way, that was civil, not criminal, which are far lower standards. It was a show trial. It was a dog and pony show. It was a kangaroo court meant to make Trump look bad. But if you watched her joking about being raped, you know that real people who were raped don't joke about it. It's not funny. It's infuriating. You don't joke about, oh, we're going to get to spend all this money and let's do this and let's do that. And I'll get you this and I'll get you that. And ha, ha, ha. And on TV with Anderson Cooper, look, she's on MSNBC with Rachel Maddow laughing about all these things. She's on with Anderson Cooper talking about how rape is sexy. None of these things passed the sniff test, the Joe Biden creepy child sniff test. Joe Biden allegedly showering with his daughter Ashley, according to the journals. It doesn't pass the sniff test at all. So don't give me any of that stuff. But yeah, another Democrat. Another creepo in the Democrat Party. I'm so surprised. Anyway, here's a little bit more of, and by the way, I sort of apologize that this show's a little bit so scattered. Not really. It just is what it is. These are the stories that I find, put them on the New American Media, and we're sifting through them in real time, expanding on them and connecting them back together. Yes, if I had a full production team, we might copy and paste and chop and edit. It's too much. It's too much to do. But I'm trying to deliver you a daily morning show. And this has been a pretty good way for me to compile the content without adding too much extra to the workload. But this is from David Harris Jr. The left is claiming that Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, is attacking schools, and Homan explains that the headaches Democrats and progressives are still creating. Shares how they're able to pinpoint the location of an illegal criminal and apprehend them anyhow. Whoop, where's the volume? There we go.
He was attacking our elementary school. He's scaring children. He's scaring the neighborhood.
Yes, it's the left that are scaring children and communities. The left, their currency is peddling fear. And the MK Ultra, like there's so many experiments that have been done to just pump fear and chaos into your head, and then you become manipulatable, brainwashable. That's what the Democrats live for. It's who they are. That's why that party needs to be shattered into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the wind. They constantly peddle this irrational fear in order to gain temporary political power. They are disgusting in these tactics.
Fear in the community, we're doing the exact opposite.
The exact opposite is happening. They're trying to help the community. But these idiot Democrat politicians pushing these idiot Democrat talking points are causing brain damage to these people, thinking they're being attacked. No. They are helping save the people of these formerly great cities.
We're saving children. Every sexual predator we arrest means more safe children. So, God bless the men with ICE. As you've seen today, we're not sweeping neighborhoods. This is a target enforcement operation. We spend a lot of time investigating these people.
Like I said, I think if there's an immigration rally with people saying, you're not sending me home, we are staying, and all these things, it's like, well, you've self-incriminated. I think you're all being detained, and you sort out who's who. I don't know. Is that too similar to stop and frisk? Oh, there's a group of gang members hanging out in this corner dealing. All right, we're gonna stop you and frisk you. You carrying? Are you slinging? Are you dealing? What type of poison are you bringing your community? Just read a report about 30,000 doses of lethal, deadly fentanyl poison on one of these illegals that Homan and ICE rounded up. That's poison they're putting into your regular drugs. I don't want poison going into regular drugs. I don't want to see that at all.
You know exactly who we're looking for. So it's a target enforcement operation. It's the right thing to do. He could have been arrested at a county jail, in the safety and security of county jail, by one officer. Right. But we spent hundreds of hours to investigate him, try to find out where he is, and we did find him. It takes a whole team for officer safety to arrest him. Right. It's not efficient. We could arrest many more criminals if you let us in the jail. It's a lot harder to find these guys out in the public. These guys don't want to be found. They're in the wind. It takes a lot of investigative work to find them.
Yeah, why are the jails if a jail's preventing ICE from doing their job, I think the jail administration needs to be removed. These people need to get the hell out of this country. And we need an agreement with the countries they're going back to that they're going to stay in their country. And then we need to ask, why are you dumping your criminals in our country? Enough of this.
Let us in the jail. Don't let them hit the street. It saves officers time. It's safer for the community. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. But spending hundreds of hours of investigation to find this guy when we could have got him in 5 minutes. Social media saying ICE was attacking our elementary school. He's scaring.
Yeah. So social media, take it with a grain of salt. Here's a 1948 film on propaganda made for high school students. This helped them identify the difference between propaganda and honest media reporting. This is from History That's Useful.
Get the facts and judge the purpose and technique by the facts.
But when you want the facts about live political battle, don't come to a campaign manager.
You might not want to go to the campaign manager for honesty because their job is to win. There's a difference.
I might do it at that, but I will also go and see your opposition.
Well, that's all right.
This clip was from prominent YouTuber David Hoffman. This film was made to sell to high school media departments who purchased it to show their juniors and seniors. Students in public high schools were being exposed to the concept of propaganda, especially given the context of World War II and the early Cold War. At this time, there was an emphasis on educating citizens, including school children, about the role of propaganda. Would anyone make a film like this to run in schools involving media, fake or not? Propaganda from all sides was studied, including the history of social studies classes. Teachers used examples from Nazi Germany, fascist Italy, or Imperial Japan to illustrate how propaganda was used to control information and manipulate public opinion during the war. In civics or governmental classes, students discussed propaganda in the context of democratic values, freedom of speech, and the role of the press. This included conversations about the differences between propaganda, misinformation, and the free exchange of ideas.
Whenever you're tracking down propaganda, get as many different points of view as you can.
Do you know something?
What?
I think that it might be interesting to make a really serious study of propaganda.
I find it interesting, and there's plenty to study.
Here I have just a few of the many books on the subject. You can read them. You can keep your eyes and ears open for little bits of propaganda. And, of course, you can study whole propaganda campaigns.
By the way, every country has propaganda, even the ones you like. We live in America. Let's talk about our 51st and 52nd state. Israel has propaganda. Ukraine has propaganda. Russia has propaganda. Hamas has propaganda. Everybody has propaganda. Now, just because somebody's putting propaganda out doesn't mean the crux of their story is incorrect. It just means they're trying to find a way to tug at your heartstrings and get your dollars and get your support. Get your young men and women to sign up and go defend them. It's everywhere. There's no place that it isn't.
Here are a few on which I've been gathering material. Hitler and Nazi Germany had a campaign of propaganda that ran over many years. Then there's a wealth of propaganda to study on the subject of Russia and communism. There's propaganda to study in our own American elections, national as well as local.
Okay, thank you, video. When I read through this, it said Germany, Italy, and Japan, but it didn't say U.S. elections. Good.
And in many of the major issues on which elections often hinge.
Oh, this is the Trump policy about high tariffs. He wants to start the Department of External Revenue Services and get rid of the income tax. How about it? 1913, creature from Jekyll Island, Federal Reserve, private banking cartel. Yeah. We didn't used to have an income tax. Let's get rid of it.
Well, if I don't learn about propaganda, it won't be because there's no way to study it.
That's right, Chuck. Remember the techniques of propaganda and use the procedure we out is a powerful force. So powerful that your study of propaganda is important not only to you, but to me and to the world.
I love these videos. I love blasts from history. Okay. This is about California saying we don't have a water problem. We have a management problem.
There is not one dime in this
Senate climate budget plan in the, what is this here? Flashback. Brian Engelman is saying he's been advocating for water storage solutions in California for several years. However, Newsom and Sacramento Democrats have been ongoing in the resistance to any real solutions, including Sites Reservoir that voters approved in 2014 under Prop 1. Whoop, what did I do here?
Proposal for storage. Where is it? Where's the money to build Sites Reservoir that will actually help the environment, help farmers, and help people that want safe drinking water in the cities? It's not in here. This is the budget. This is the Senate's plan. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Where are the priorities? Why are the look, for everyone, I don't understand what's the big deal with DEI. DEI takes your limited resources and wastes your energy on things that are illegal and unconstitutional, violating civil rights. It's just racism. It's just racism against people that you aren't. It's just racism that might help you get ahead temporarily. It's racism that and sexism, and it's all the isms. But it diverts attention away from prioritizing the important tasks. 2014, this stuff was approved. Why was it not prioritized? Why was that not fast-tracked? All hands on deck, build the reservoirs. Where's the priority here?
Chairman, this makes my blood boil. It's ridiculous. If you think that communities and farmers are going to be able to feed California and the world without creating more water, we have 2017 and 2018 was the wettest years on history, and we didn't save that water. We're letting it out, and it's going to the ocean. The planet has 75% of the planet is water. For God's sake, you think we could get some more and store it so that we have it in drought years? I'd like to see some money put in.
It should not be drought years. You should just pump it from the reservoirs. You wanna call for a massive project, put it in a place where nothing is, and just make the world's largest reservoir. Let's go to it. There's nothing we can't do. Get Elon and his boring company to dig down and go as far as you can. Get the boring company to get some underground tunnels to transfer the water from Northern California down to Southern California, to the farms in Central California. Give me a break. Try to engineer some cool shit instead of money laundering, looting, plundering, all these people in upper management getting DEI salaries and hiring incompetent people because they look right or because they're attracted to the right type of people. That stuff is antithetical to a functional government. We have to demand better. And as a former resident of California, I can speak on these things because I lived them year after year after year.
In this budget to build Sites Reservoir. Nobody disputes that it's not a great project. Environmentalists like it. Labor likes it. Ag likes it. Municipalities like it. And what are we getting? Nothing. Not one red penny going towards it. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Kudos to the people that have been saying this and the people still saying it. There we go. Here's a series. I got to mute this. There's cool music. A series of people who legitimately, from Aaron Adair G, saying a series of people who legitimately, I'm having a hard time with that word. I think I'm talking too fast. But now that I know that the word is coming, I think that I should be able to enunciate it. Here's a series of people who legitimately believe they can take on U.S. ICE officers during classroom raids. Here it is. Yep. If ICE comes to my school, ICE better not raid my school. My baby's here at my school. ICE is going to raid classrooms? So anyway, Always Right says it's quite amusing to see a bunch of 5'0" out of shape women not only holding the belief that they can win some kind of physical altercation with multiple ICE agents at once, but also that they're doing the equivalent of hiding Jews in the attic. Good luck. So, come on. Good luck with all of that. They're protecting the kids, not harming the kids. This one here is Chinese Americans outside the DC jail supporting the J6ers. You can watch this one on the Instagram feed, The New American Media, because he's been persecuted in China. He understands what it's like because these people were protesting a stolen election. But, under duress, I'll tell you that you go to cisa.gov/rumor control for countervailing views because they believe that 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of the world. Many people disagree, though. Anyway, here's from CNN. This is a very different Donald Trump. Who is this lady? And wow, is she struggling? She is having a hard day, this lady, coping with reality.
Very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration, the way he's attacking things. And the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters.
As being viewed by voters. Correction. This isn't a different... You don't get to correct an opinion. God, CNN is addicted to thinking they have every fact. You don't. You don't get to correct that people are actually viewing him differently, and he is different. You don't get shot in the head by the deep state without coming away different. You don't go through the 4 years of hell that Trump and his family have been dragged through because of the dirty deep state Democrat, divisive, destructive demons. Of course you're different. And of course you don't go through a first term. Every rookie quarterback is going to have struggles. You're going to, maybe not everybody improves, but you have the capability for improving once you have a season under your belt. Trump's first season, his 4-year term, he learned a lot. Then he got robbed from his second term in broad daylight, that many people believe. Of course he's different. And that was the number one thing everybody said during the speech in Milwaukee when the New American Media was there, interviewing people and find out what the story was during the Republican convention. Check out the videos on YouTube and Rumble. He was there and he was different. Everyone commented on it. Sounds like a different Donald Trump. And look at the work he's accomplished in 4 years. You don't think it's different? Why didn't he stay with Mike Pence? I think he learned who Mike Pence was and he got rid of him. Bravo. Why has he surrounded himself with the team that he has now instead of the deep state team that was kind of foisted upon him last time? He learned. He is very different. This is a very different Donald Trump, and you don't get to correction. This isn't a different Donald Trump. Yes, It is. To anyone with eyes and ears, what's wrong with you, lady?
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things, I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Yeah, it's very organized. It is impossible to keep up with everything that's happening. I've never seen a guy work so hard. Oh, he was born into money. He doesn't do anything. Holy shit. Give me a break. President Trump is in North Carolina and in Los Angeles in the same day, directing FEMA and all the local officials. Here's how you get things fixed after these natural disasters. He gives a shit. Dude is everywhere doing everything. Yeah, it's very different. Was Susan Wiles his chief of staff? Bravo with that hire. I think he's hired a vastly superior team to what he did the first time. Half that team tried to subvert him and tried to take him out. Half that team got in the way. Half that team was incompetent or compromised. Oh, this is a very different Donald Trump. No correction needed, lady.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only...
I have a really hard time believing this.
I have a really hard time believing this. I have a really hard time believing this. Do you? Because you're a nutter, lady. Step back from your propaganda. Nobody likes this anti-Trump propaganda. We like rebuilding North Carolina. We like rebuilding Los Angeles. By the way, Mr. Trump, President Trump, could we please go to Hawaii and help them? Can we clean up East Palestine? Clean up our border? Clean up all the shit that needs cleaned up? Because Democrats don't know how to do things productively. They do know how to rob you like a pirate, and they do know how to inflict brain damage from their propaganda to make you controllable. So they'll watch your network. Come on, wake up, lady.
It's 100% true. I went back. I love...
It's 100% true.
Spreadsheets. Donald Trump's is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had as an entire first term, Kate Bowman.
Kate Bowman, is that her name? Oh my goodness. Just the face. She can't believe that anything Trump is doing is successful. Yes. And if you stay out of the way, good things are going to happen.
This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
I believe you in nothing except when you have it in the wall, and then I believe everything you say.
That's exactly right.
Which is why
I believe you in nothing except when you have it in the wall. What? That's throwing some weird shade. Seriously, screw you, lady.
This is a very...
I think that was meant to say, like, hey, if you're putting it on the screen, then I guess we believe it. Yeah, she is seething. Anyway, whatever. Deuces. Yeah. This woman, we said, this woman is completely beside herself. Believe it, darling. Listen to how high-pitched her voice gets at the end. She can't believe what we all see and believe with our own eyes and ears. Right here, leading report. Republican lawmakers have introduced a new bill to end federal funding for paying for gender transition drugs and surgeries for minors. Hashtag protect the kids. This one right here, this is from Bill Malugan saying one of the illegal aliens recently arrested by ICE Boston is a Dominican man who beat his pregnant wife to death in front of their child. He was paroled last month. Why would you parole someone like this? He was paroled last month by the Massachusetts Parole Board after serving just 17 years of a life sentence. Get the fork out. Here's how David Harris Jr. saying, here's how to school liberal media 101. This is the new White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, destroying liberals' media biased questions about deporting illegal aliens.
Report from Chicago.
Stephen Miller,
That there were ICE agents that were turned away from a Southside elementary school earlier today. Is targeting of schools, targeting of things like this, something that the administration is comfortable with and will continue with?
I think the framing of the question is wrong. If there's a law enforcement activity that's taking place in the school, then that would be for the protection and defense of the child.
Yes. These activities are for the protection and defense of the children. You're not going to get to gaslight us anymore.
You know, there's a epidemic of child trafficking and labor trafficking in this country. When
child sex trafficking, child labor trafficking, gross shit. Fight against that stuff. Raise your standards, people.
Federal law enforcement officers are turned away from a school, it is the act of turning them away that endangers the lives and safety of children. We've seen, as you know, 500,000 children trafficked over a 4-year period in the United States. This administration is going to investigate every instance of child trafficking, labor trafficking, sex trafficking, child smuggling, and all the attendant crimes involved in that.
Yep.
And our message to everyone in the country
to turn over every rock where you think it might be
is to cooperate fully with immigration and customs enforcement so that we can end the scourge of child trafficking and child abuse that has been endemic these last 4 years.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Reframe the question. Never accept
sheriffs.
Never accept the framing of a question. Always explain it the way it should be. But this video here, real quick, they're saying over $40,000 worth of generators were stolen by sheriffs in North Carolina. I'm trying to understand this. This is from the Worldwide Wake Up.
Stole 32 of our generators. They stole over $40,000 worth of our generators in the middle of the night, or like early morning dark.
They're saying $45,000 worth of generators intended for disabled and elderly victims of Hurricane Helene have been at the center of controversy after they disappeared. In this interview, Evan Villardo is a dedicated volunteer from the Asheville area who's been helping since the start of the disaster, sharing his experience.
Because they were supposed to be watching them for us. We had them all donated from Samaritan's Purse.
And they just stole them.
They just took them. When we assembled them all, filled them up with gas, made sure they run, and they were like the baddest generators you could get. We had a list because it was before that really cold 2 days, like a month ago.
And that was the thing when we went down there. Check out our documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. It's on our Rumble and YouTube channel for the New American Media. We went down with Grizzly, and he was saying recently, like, that's what they need. They need generators. They need power. They need something to stay warm with. They need heaters, power.
Mm-hmm. We had a list of like disabled, elderly, feeble elderly, you know, people that have cancer, stuff like that, to deliver these generators to. And we get there that morning, and a sheriff's truck has our stuff, some of our stuff loaded up in it. The director of Penland School of Craft was like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And they said, "What are you doing?" And they just drove off. And then she went in our warehouse, and 32 of our generators were gone out of the 36 we had.
Someone help me get an update on this story.
Well, you are in possession of stolen generators.
File a report and have me charged.
Well, we don't need to file a report.
You go see Captain Cecil Hobson.
We need our generators back because we
got the one that I had.
We had a list of people that are disabled who cannot start a generator.
And that's who we gave them to.
You didn't have the list.
It doesn't matter. They're still disabled and they live in this county.
Well, I don't believe you because they disappeared in the middle of the night. I was
We
here
don't care who. Yeah, I didn't. You got about 2 seconds.
Sheriffs stole 32.
They were getting pissed off. Help me understand where this story's coming from, where this story went.
Let me explain.
By the way, here's something interesting that Tucker had a guest on discussing, shifting gears real quick, about what the okay. Where is it? Can I even talk about this story?
Explain to you why some people oppose the MMR vaccine.
MMR.
In every single dose.
Let's say MMA is mixed martial arts. Then I was thinking, well, whatever. mRNA, all these letters.
Of an MMR shot.
Measles.
There are literally millions of pieces from the cultured cell line of an aborted fetus.
Millions of pieces of the cultured cells from aborted fetuses in MMR vaccines. Is that just so you know, and so you're all cool with it, right?
In every single injection. Now, again, that might sound crazy, but I could literally pull up right now the CDC's own ingredient list for the MMR vaccine. Anybody can do this at home. Just Google vaccine excipient list, CDC, and you could pull it up and you could see It has MRC5, WI38. Those are cultured cell lines from aborted fetus, because you have to grow viruses in a cell. Viruses won't just grow. They have to grow in cells. That's how they replicate. They take over the machinery of a cell. So you have to grow it on a cellular substrate. So how do they grow the rubella virus? They grow it on these cultured cell lines from aborted fetus.
So yeah, why is there such a push to abort so many babies? Maybe it's the platform that's needed for all the medical industry stuff that's needed. Can't help people with these shots unless you're killing all these babies. I get that it's complicated, but I think we have the right to know what's going on. Every time someone goes in for an abortion and that they're going to chop that kid up and use it for pieces for someone else to make money on, to inject into other people. Like, I don't know how many people really think through the process. So it's either important or it's not. Here's some traditional thinker, trad thinking. Kind of summing up, maybe, is this the Obama doctrine? The Obama doctrine is fairly complicated, but this gets a lot of things right. This is the guide to destroying the West. And that is essentially what the Obama doctrine is, that Americans have lived too good for too long, and we need to send our money to shithole countries. We need to lower our standard of living, make everything too expensive to survive here, and give Americans a dose of pain so that the people he selected as his betters, as the recipients of his generosity, get to thrive. How benevolent of you. Traditional thinker saying the guide to destroying the West: convince women to hate men, convince men to hate themselves, convince minorities to hate whites, convince whites to hate themselves, convince the young to be LGBT ampersand question mark, etc. Convince the old that they are backward. It only takes a generation if it's done correctly. This is the Obama doctrine. Is Obama the creator of it, or is he just the best spokesperson for it? It's a bit of a combination. I think he was the one necessary to ramp it up to the ridiculous level that we've seen. But since it's been hyped up to this ridiculous level, we can also reject it. So, you know. All right, a couple more stories here, and we're going to wrap up. We're going to go to Strictly Football today at noon. Yep, just confirmed. I got to type Coolio. We're going to do Strictly Football here at noon, talking about what we learned and what to expect for the Super Bowl. Hope you join us live. Okay, now that Donald Trump is president, it's time for Doge to end the money laundering.
Lists $1 trillion of
This is from the Kind Joe.
taxpayer money spent on some truly bizarre pet projects.
Here's the 2024 Festivus report. Bravo, Rand Paul, for making this a yearly thing.
Like $10,000 that was given to
And the disclaimer is that this is speculative and meant for discussion purposes. Rand Paul found over $1 trillion in his annual Festivus report.
the Bearded Ladies Cabaret to fund ice skating shows about climate change.
Isn't that exactly what you would expect to find in the Obama-Biden era wasteful spending report? Hey, we need to collect more tax dollars. Well, I mean, I guess we got to help the people rebuild in North Carolina and Maui and Los Angeles, right? No, it's so we can have a bearded lady ice skating show about climate change. Yeah, I'm going to pass, dog. That's going to be a no for me.
$32,000 was spent on breakdancing. Nearly $500,000 was spent to determine if lonely rats seek out cocaine more than happy rats. Another $2 million was paid for Paraguayan border security, because who needs a secure U.S. border anyway?
Paraguay.
$12 million to fund a pickleball complex in Las Vegas. $20 million to air a Sesame Street spinoff about inclusion and mutual respect, not here in the U.S., but in Iraq. and $10 billion on maintaining, leasing, and furnishing almost entirely empty buildings. Ghost towns on your dime. List.
Yikes, people. Let's get Doge to work already. Yeah, do you hear how gross all this sounds? Here's 2 clips that give off the same energy. And this is about how Democrats really want indentured servitude, slave labor, child exploitation. We'll call it that.
If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilets, Donald Trump? Oh, that's not.
The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
If you kick.
Oh, right then. Yeah, you know what? If you want to be a migrant working in the United States, there needs to be a walk through the front. This CBP one thing, this Obama doctrine with Joe Biden on the puppet strings, what they've been doing to flood the cities, flood the counties, flood the right places, this has not been above board. This has all been nonsensical. The entire immigration process needs to be revamped in a common sense way. What the Democrats were doing ain't it. Anyway, here's Bobby Kennedy talking about Ukraine and money laundering.
It's not really going to Ukraine.
This is from Reclaim Sovereign Birth. This is about BlackRock, the single most powerful entity in the world, owning most of the companies that you buy products from, including products that seemingly are small companies. They're snatched up by big conglomerates, all owned ultimately by BlackRock. Big Pharma is owned by them. Big Agro is owned by them. Big Food, Big War, Big Money. This is according to Reclaim Sovereign Birth. They're the black beast who's trying to control the world. And it all comes down to how you spend your dollar. So here's Bobby Kennedy explaining it.
It's going to American defense manufacturers.
So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock. They're doing this right in front of us. They don't even care that we know anymore. Because they know that they can get away with a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us to put
This should have never happened.
all of its government-owned assets up for sale to multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land, the biggest single asset in Europe and Ukraine. There's been 1,000 years of war fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids almost, Ukrainians have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. They almost certainly didn't know about this loan condition.
Yeah, these loan conditions. They trick you into giving away your sovereignty through debt. It's the oldest tale. I'm so damned sick of it.
They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto. Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock. And then in December, President Biden gave out the contract to rebuild Ukraine. And who do you think got that contract? BlackRock. It's not.
Yeah, so watch the people who are going to oppose Bobby Kennedy in his appointment. Let's see the people who are going to go against him, and let's check where that money is coming from. I don't think it's going to be complicated to figure out, people. I think the traitors are the ones that are going to oppose decent people like Bobby trying to fix some of these problems. I'm all about solutions, creativity, repair. Those people are all about theft, destruction, chaos. And I'm done with it. Done with it. All right. A couple other topics here. Thank you, Babylon B, for making me smile. Here's a picture of Donald Trump hard at work, and he's in the Oval Office. He's working really hard here. A bunch of people surrounding him at the desk. And there's Biden. It says, confused Joe Biden shows up to Monday morning staff meeting. You could actually envision this, right? I mean, Joe Biden being propped up as a legitimate candidate, as a legitimate president, has been one of the biggest farces ever attempted to be pulled on the American people. Here's Joel Pollack. Nimbus, please stop stepping on my devices here. Joel Pollack from Breitbart. We filmed him getting assaulted by a Daily Show editor on our YouTube channel, The New American Media. Go find it. This was outside the 2016 Republican convention in Cleveland for the Gay Republicans for Trump event where Milo Yiannopoulos was speaking. The New American Media's content ended up on the front page of the Drudge Report back when the Drudge Report was relevant. So here's Joel Pollack. I believe here is what I'm looking at. Okay, Nimbus, we've got to get you off of my desk. My Biased News says they discussed the need for federal government money to help with California disasters, but also concerns about how the California government is spending money to oppose certain policies rather than on directly helping people through things like rental assistance and rebuilding. I think that's Joel. If I give you that whole speech and it's not Joel, I apologize, but I think it is. The speaker suggests following the 9/11 Commission precedent and appointing a special master. Oh, this is Joel. To oversee the federal disaster relief funding to ensure that it's spent properly. This is brilliant.
I really appreciate my congressman advocating for money. We need the money from the federal government. But I also understand Americans who are tired of spending money on California and disasters happen, and the California government passes $50 million to oppose your policies. So they have $50 million for that, but not for moving people into rental homes or helping people relocate or rebuild.
Yep.
I would like to ask you to follow the 9/11 Commission precedent and appoint a special master to watch the money, to make sure that every federal dollar that gets spent here is spent on fire relief and rebuilding and not on everything else. Good idea. I really appreciate my congressman.
Afterward, President Trump says, looks over to Rick Grinnell. Rick, I think we can do that, right? So that was a good one. Yeah, a lot of these stories, I mean, we're just giving you other perspectives and other bullet points about all these stories are not done. These stories are developing. There's so many angles to talk about. I'm going to try to not repeat myself on the same things when I'm doing the shows. But look, there's a lot of stories. There will be 1,000 perspectives on, and we got to consider it. We have to look at it. So, these stories are important to me. How many times do you want to talk about Ukraine or the Maui fires or East Palestine or the Los Angeles fires or the water in California or rebuilding North Carolina? As long as it takes. That's how long. I'll talk about it as long as it takes. And that's how we all need to be with the important matters in our lives. As long as it takes. This is from Snowflake News. Chicago resident and lifelong Democrat who voted for Trump begs Tom Homan to come to Chicago and deal with the migrant crime, blasting the Democrat Party and thanks Trump for delivering on his promise.
Tom Homan, you are welcome. I voted for President Trump. And let me tell you something. I was one of those lifelong Democrats. I started voting at 18, voted in every election, voted Democrat in every election, except this last one, because I'm just tired. I'm tired of the same old thing happening from the Democratic Party. I'm so glad that President Trump is now delivering on some of his promises. I heard Stephen Smith ask this earlier on Bill Maher's show. What has the Democrats delivered for us lately? Final thoughts are, Tom Homan, you are welcome.
Yeah. What have you delivered lately? I'll wait. I beg of you. That Democrat Party is done. It has to be toast. This is breaking news that I think this will be a top story very soon. I think we're going to see I'm going to call it a war. It's going to be a war on the violent entities on the southern border. Think Breaking Bad. So according to Gunther Eagleman, Border Patrol agents have been fired upon. What I show this from GLKCS. Border agents fired upon. Oh, I do not think this is going to end well for the dirtbags. Mason Birch saying, I guess the cartels haven't heard about F around and find out. That is the Trump policy. They're about to learn. Trump doesn't mince words in times like these. I like this. Torgio says, new government department. DOFAFO. Department of Fork Around and Find Out. Tank Sturmus saying that's not going to end well for the cartel members. You're pissing off a fired up group of agents who finally have proper backing by their leadership. If needed, those agents will call for backup that will scorch the earth that these criminals stand on. This is overdue. Let's freaking Go. As Radio Doug says, it's about time we defend this country.
So gunmen in Mexico fire shots at Border Patrol agents in Fronton, Texas. This all happened about 1 hour ago. Law enforcement tells Bill Malugin it happened as cartel members tried to bring a group of illegal immigrants across the river. The agents fired back. No one on either side was hit. The group of illegal immigrants did not make it across the Red River. Now, this suspected cartel.
So keep your eyes peeled on this developing story. They're about to find out. Real quick, let's listen to this story. Robert Morris, known as Lego Man.
Away from my apartment.
You want to know how absurd January 6th was? How absurd the prosecution of January 6th was? Listen to Lego Man.
The FBI goes into my apartment, and they're passing by very.
This is from Joe Likes America, and it says Robert Morse is a former Army Ranger from Pennsylvania, served from 2011 to 15. Did 3 tours in Afghanistan, and later worked as a substitute teacher. And here's what happened. By Pelosi, Cheney, Kinzinger, Biden, Harris, Obama, all of the dirtbags who do almost nothing good ever. Oh, but they got plenty of time for Lego Man.
Dangerous objects like the Holy Bible or the United States Constitution. And so
the agents walk past these dangerous things and then walked over to.
They actually stumbled across a collection of Legos that I had in my apartment. The Legos were there because I think I love Legos and they awaken the engineer in all of us. But also, I also like the idea of bringing Legos into the classroom so that, my students could kind of chill out a little bit, But what they pretended that they found was like the holy grail of January 6th, and it was none other than a Lego model kit of the United States Capitol.
Look at that. A Lego model kit. Therefore,
that the Lego company manufactured and sold. So what they did was they take this box of Legos and try to claim that I planned all of January 6th with these Legos. How ridiculous is that? So they take it to court. The judge obviously notices how ridiculous this is and then asks the obvious question, how is any of this possible if the Legos are still in the box? So they literally tried to pin the whole thing on me. They called me the architect of the insurrection. And
the architect of the insurrection. It was a mostly peaceful protest. Anyone who uses that word insurrection, they're not a serious person because they're intentionally mischaracterizing what occurred that day. When all those people showed up and were screaming at Congress to do their job and say those 7 fraud states that stopped their counting on the night where Trump was cruising to an easy re-election, when they all paused their votes so that they could magically over the next several days or weeks flip hundreds of thousands of votes for just enough for Joe Biden to get how many? 81 million? Okay. The least popular person in that party in that 2020 cycle on the Democrat side. The 2 least likable people, Biden and Harris. You're telling me they became the most likable people with 81 million votes. The people who showed up that day weren't there for an insurrection. They were there to ask Congress, to tell Congress, do your job. You cannot certify these fraudulent votes. Those 7 states have forfeited the right to believe what they're putting out because voting is your entire life. You vote, you get your tally, you declare the winner. Oh, except for this one. Oh, it was such a special condition, was it? Was it? Okay. They wanted to have a debate on the floor talking about those 7 states and what to do. Do you kick them all out and say they don't count? So they don't go to Biden and they don't go to Trump? So nobody gets to 270? Now what? Now does Congress get to vote on the president? Do you have a revote? That was the conversation that was supposed to happen that day. But because doors were opened and because of all the things that happened, that conversation did not happen. Instead, Pelosi and Bowser, they all got to repeat the word insurrection a quadrillion times instead of having the debate that we were all asking for. So keep that in mind for perspective.
The Lego Man was born. The internet never forgot. And I'm not really dropping the name because it was a shred of dark comedy that came out of this, kind of something to make you laugh. But it also goes to show how far the Biden DOJ was willing to go in order to sell a lie to the American public that our group was actually trying to overthrow the government on January 6th.
You're going to try to overthrow government, but nobody brings a weapon. Nobody uses a weapon. Give me a break. This was a protest, a mostly peaceful protest. And it was all, according to this comment here, this was all J6 hysteria. All the J6 hysteria was intended to ruin Donald John Trump. Yeah, and then subject us to 4 years of money laundering, theft, and destruction of our country.
Totally bogus, but they were willing to make up such egregious lies that, you know, someone like me was going to overthrow the United States government with a plastic children's toy. That's how outrageous this got.
How do you feel after being released?
I feel good. I feel like I can fly, you know, but, you know, it's a bittersweet feeling. We still got people in that building. They got to come out, man. And so I can't sleep at night knowing that I'm free and other people are still suffering. The age of political prisoners should have ended last night. And because of this facility and many other facilities like it in America, it's still ongoing. So I call on everybody that's listening to call your congressman, call your local representatives, and make sure that the political prisoners finally get released, because enough's enough.
And so we're going to have to research Jeremy Brown I guess he's been transferred to Kentucky now. I'm going to have to call Thomas Massey and Rand Paul, see if we can get some more information about that. All right, 2 more quick stories, then we're going to get out of here.
Why are you giving...
This is from Pierce Morgan, uncensored. And yeah, this debate is happening now, and it's about damn time, and we need to have this conversation in the open proudly to defend our kids, to defend the kids of the world. This is a common theme. Either harm the kids or protect the kids. Which team are you on? Pick a side.
Children hormones.
There is no middle ground. Pick a side. Protect the kids or harm the kids.
I want an answer for that. Why are you setting up a network to give children hormones
outside of the clear ad hominem
Why
attacks?
are you doing that?
Again,
Just answer the question. Don't give me bullshit. Why are you doing
progress
that? requires
some pushback.
Why are you giving children
We are going
hormones
to need to
illegally?
keep on
Why are you
fighting
doing
if
this,
we
Eli?
want to see trans
Why
youth
did you set up a network to give
protected and
children
get the
hormones?
necessary health care that they need.
She can't answer. She's not a serious person, Pierce. This is not serious time.
I'm sorry, yelling over me isn't going to solve
You're not
anything.
answering the question. Why are you giving children hormones illegally? Why are you setting up networks to do this, Eli? Why?
So
this is a crime. I want to know why you're doing it.
It is
It
a
really
crime to
hurts
mess up
us. It
kids.
makes us.
It's a crime to mess up kids. Don't touch kids. Don't touch the kids. Chopping off body parts and sterilizing kids, messing with their waterworks, guaranteeing they can never orgasm in their life. God, come on. How many times have you had a bad day and the only good part of your day is an orgasm? Somebody clip that apart. Somebody try to sum me up in one sentence. There it is right there. Why would you deprive a human of such a burst of joy, such a wonderful feeling? Because an adult somewhere thinks that an 8-year-old isn't what they are. You're born how you are. You can love who you want to love. You can dress how you want to dress. Come on, don't start chopping up your body. You were born how you're born. And if you don't have a malady, you don't mess with it. And if you intend at 18 years of age to change your body in whatever way you see fit on your own dime, there are libertarian values of do no harm. And if it doesn't impact me, I don't really have an issue with it. Harming kids who cannot consent, that impacts all of us. So that harms me. Doing what you want with your own body, with your own money at 18, I don't care. Get a rhinoplasty, get a set of tits, chop off the dick. Do whatever you need to do if you need to, but you don't do that as a minor. You don't let parents with Munchausen syndrome demolish their child. You don't hack them up like a horror movie. You don't.
Look deranged. Why are you doing
Eli,
this?
why are you doing it?
Well, this is going to make some great TV. Look, when trans youth are denied necessary health care, we always have to stop it.
That's not necessary health care. Necessary health care is if you have a urinary tract infection, you get antibiotics. Necessary health care is if you have kidney stones in your penis. Sorry, I was trying to think of a woman and a man, like legitimate healthcare things. You have a problem with your reproductive organs and you got to get that cleared up. Okay, then you deal with the kidney stones. You don't lop off healthy breasts. That's not healthcare. It's out of a horror movie. That's not necessary healthcare. That is criminal behavior.
And right now, under very brave trans lawyers like...
Brave? I think there's going to be criminal liability for lawyers that are pushing this stuff.
Like Chase Strangio are in the Supreme Court fighting for trans kids because
In a
of.
case he's going to lose.
I actually
There's no
agree with
such
that.
thing as a trans kid.
Tommy?
That's very silly.
Pierce, there's no such thing as a trans kid. That's child abuse. When you take somebody who's still growing up, figuring out who they are, doesn't know anything about sexuality and shouldn't at that young age, and you try to convince them that there's something other than what they were born to be, that's a problem. It's child abuse. That's my opinion. But also, you're talking about trans kids and their mental health. There was a study that was done about mental health for trans youth, and guess what? The results did not come back favorably, so they wanted to bury it. And that
Yeah, the reports that were done, people regret this. People regret getting mangled. God, I saw something from Andy No that there was a disabled person whose parents subjected him to this stuff. Oh my God, like someone that's not there mentally, developmentally, getting protect the kids. This is not rocket science. Protect the kids.
is a fact. So if you show me some data that shows that this gender affirming care is actually beneficial, let's see it. Because the one that was done that a lot of money was poured into came out the other way, and the community tried to bury it. So don't
That's
target
not quite
children.
correct.
If you want to talk about adults and trans rights for adults, that's fine. But leave children out of that. And that's what a lot of conservatives are simply asking for. Leave kids alone. Let them live their lives and figure out what they want to do when they're of age to make those kind of decisions.
I completely listen. We had an infamous clinic in London called the Tavistock Clinic, where no one was allowed to criticise what they were doing, which was mutilating young kids. And it's shut down now in total disgrace and ignominy and shame. But you know what isn't shut down? The damage that was done to those kids. God. And I'm afraid that I agree with Tommy. I don't think any prepubescent child should ever be exposed to any of this nonsense. Let them go through puberty. Let them go through puberty and work out for themselves what kind of life they want. That's fine. But don't mutilate kids or treat them this way or pump them with hormones or puberty blockers.
I was one of those children, Piers, and I'm an adult now. I'm very happy.
Good for you, but many children were not.
Many were not. Met Piers Morgan. Actually, I might reach out to Piers. I could be on a panel like this. All right, here's the last thing I was going to share with you today, and then we're going to hit relaunch for the, wow, God, it's almost noon already. I cannot do an hour show. It's 2 hours again. But I like unpacking the news. I have a lot to say on every topic. The digital real estate cousins, Derek and Dakota. Here we go. The White House can't track $6.2 billion that were sent to Ukraine. California can't track $24 billion that was spent to combat homelessness. The Pentagon can't track 2.3 trillion with a T of military spending. The U.S. Treasury can't track 5 trillion with a T dollars of pandemic spending. In the IRS, we know you sent $601.57 to your friend. You better report or you're going to jail. Rules for me, but not for thee. This is insanity. All right. That concludes today's program. The TNAM AM Show. So much to unpack. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, The New American Media. Facebook, we have a page, The New American Media. Truth Social, The New American Media. On X, at American_media_. On Patreon, patreon.com/The New American Media. That's a way to assist us to contribute to The New American Media. You can also do so on PayPal. At Brian Engelman, that's me, BrianEngelman. Oh, shoot, I said that wrong. That came up as like a different line here. Sorry, that's Venmo at Brian Engelman, Venmo at Brian Engelman, right there on the bottom of the screen. And PayPal is at Fuzz Installment, FUZZINSTALLMENT. These are ways that you can contribute to The New American Media. Also follow The New American Media on Rumble. We have a channel there. We have a YouTube channel with 1,700 videos or something. Subscribe. The Agree to Disagree podcast is on Spotify. Make sure you find it there. We also put our Strictly Football shows on the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. It's a division of the Unhappy Hour. And yeah, on TNAM and TNAM Chat, you can find us on Telegram and Truth Social. All right, we're going to hit reset and wrap it around. We'll be back with Mike Barra talking strictly football. It's football time. Talk to you in a few. Appreciate you. Love you. Talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.